Tumbling down a kid's slide in Boston, it's a Slice of Gaming podcast. I'm your host, Moonlight150, and we are here for the podcast episode number 12. We have been at this for 3 months now. Wow, okay. This is for the week of August 4th, 2023. We got some supposedly information about the upcoming Switch 2, Switch Pro, whatever you want to call it. Some remake information, not remake information, but like some remake rumors, as well as a bunch of other smaller stories that we'll get to in this episode. And it is also Evo Week. So let's meet our combatants for this podcast episode. Activating his V trigger, it's Wolf.
Hi, V trigger. Wait, that's not a fighting game thing.
That's Street Fighter.
Bro, what the fuck?
Wow, what a phony fan.
I don't play Street Fighter. I play the superior fighting game franchise.
No, so why you say it out of your chest like that then? Bro, that's
well,
not
no,
a
I
fighting.
thought you okay, no, here's the thing. I thought V trigger. I thought you was something about Devil May Cry. That's why I was confused.
What the fuck?
Yeah, V trigger's in Devil May Cry.
No, it's not. It's double trigger.
No, it's V trigger.
No, it's not.
Devil Trigger.
No, it's V
double
trigger.
trigger.
I swear to God, it's V trigger.
It's double trigger.
There's no
You're
way in
not
hell
gonna
it's
win.
not.
Look it up right now. Right now. Look it
I'm
up.
looking it up right now.
All right, go look it up while I go through the rest of the
Wait.
intros. All right, caught in a jungle, caught in a jungle combo. It's dark.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Real quick. It is V trigger. Devil Trigger. He's right.
You know shit.
I got confused because there's a character called V in that game. Anyways, continue. Trust. Sorry.
And the song in Devil May Cry 5 called is "Pull My Devil Trigger."
Well, okay. Well, here's the thing. I thought it was V trigger because there's a character in the game called V, and I guess I just got it confused. Okay, things happen. All right.
All right. And missing the timing on his parry, it's Bench.
You're not wrong, but I'm here.
And still selecting his alt costume, it's Fusion.
Hey, I knew what V trigger was.
Same.
Okay, no one asked you. No one asked you guys.
Yeah, at least you didn't pretend to know what it was.
Listen.
Just get this intro started.
Right. So remember to like us and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, and Audible. And I don't think we have anything to announce housekeeping-wise, so we'll just move us right on over to Wolf for the news.
Yeah.
Actually, we do. We have something Wednesday, right?
Do we?
Thursday.
New series coming
Next
soon.
week.
That's
No.
I will
that's
see.
not ready to announce. That's not ready.
That's not.
Let's
It's not
look
solidified.
out for something soon.
Yeah. Okay.
Bench with your
Podcast. Goddamn. Well, I guess I'll start us off with news. Let's just say this is a very chaotic start to the episode. You can tell we're still fucking up.
The best
But,
kind of
you know what?
starts.
Yeah, exactly.
Most of us are tired, so.
I'm tired for no reason, so I'll say that much.
What?
Anyways.
What's
It's
going
for
on?
the living. The fuck you on about?
I swear I hate these guys. Anyways, moving on. We got a pretty short news week, so I guess that kind of fits for our more chaotic episode in general. The first big news item we got here: the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion remake. This had a lot of rumors. Xfire, Ray, I'm sorry if I butchered this name, Ampolokio, had written this story. Virtuous Games' former employees can't seem to stop leaking information about its projects. The Singapore-based studio's involvement with the remake of MGS3 was leaked by a former LinkedIn. It took years before Konami confirmed this with the game announcement earlier this year. Now, a former employee has deliberately dropped intel about what the studio is working on, which apparently includes a potential remake or remaster of the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. According to a since-deleted post by a since-deleted user, Virtuous Games is working on 5 different projects, arguably the biggest of which is Project Alter, which they're describing as a remaster/remake of Oblivion. According to the source, it's still unclear if it's going to be a full remake, but the development team uses a pairing system using both an Unreal Engine 5 project and the old Oblivion one. The user, who claims to work for Virtuous Games Paris, says that the European studio is in charge of the project, but Black Shamrock is helping the studio for the art. The user believes that the remaster remake will be out before next year ends or by early 2025, depending mostly on if it's a remake or a remaster. So a lot to go over here. I guess I'll just start off, like, how do we feel about this remake, remaster? Dark, I want to get your thoughts first.
So, I know it's just a rumor, and the thought of it, like, I'm really super hyped for it. It would be the first time we've gotten, I think it would be the first time, I could be wrong, but I think it's the first time we would have gotten a remaster or something from that Elder Scrolls. That's not Skyrim. But it feels weird to me because Morrowind exists, and it feels like Morrowind was more deserving of a remake first than Oblivion. So I'm not sure how accurate these rumors are. But I am hyped for it if it is real.
I think
But
it makes
it doesn't really come down to like what feels more deserving. It's just what has the more potential to get people excited to be like, okay, I will buy a Oblivion remake, because I think there's more
Yeah.
nostalgia for Oblivion than there is Morrowind.
Also, what's
I mean,
easier to
people would have been
remake.
hyped for Morrowind regardless, though. It's not like it wouldn't
I
have been.
think-
I mean, yeah, Elder Scrolls will be hype regardless for a lot of people, but I think there's just a lot more nostalgia attachment to Oblivion.
Also, it's easier to remake Oblivion in the way they seem to be doing it.
True.
But yeah,
I mean, Oblivion
I
is
think
also just like a bigger game in general. But yeah, go on, Bench.
I think this is a really smart idea. I honestly would believe it because we're not going to get Elder Scrolls 6 for a long time. So having some new entry, whether it's a remake, be put out to keep it in people's minds, I think is very smart. And I do think it's something we see with other Bethesda games of like in the future, if they can nail this down, I think it become a pattern with New Vegas Fallout games and all that. And I've
Yeah.
never played Oblivion, but all I hear is good things. It's just since it is an older game and since it's also a bigger game, it's like on the backlog, but it's like not to the point where okay, I really want to get to this. But now I'm just gonna wait for this because I do think it's real. It makes a lot of sense. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, so I'm playing through Oblivion right now, actually. And I will say this: the game's definitely in need of a remake. Like, it's not like say bad or anything. Like, I still very much am enjoying my time with the game. There's a lot of cool story aspects, cool world building. You know, that classic Bethesda magic. But the issues really perk up when it comes to like combat, the enemy design, like just the leveling, everything in that regard has just not really aged too well, at least, especially in comparison to Skyrim. And there's actually a bit ago, I think it's still like ongoing, a fan effort project to remake Oblivion in the Skyrim engine, which I found pretty interesting.
I
Now,
think it's
but
nearly
like,
complete.
No, it's
yeah,
not complete
pretty
yet.
much.
But that's
Or
Well, it's
late
that was
next
my
year.
one of my reactions where I was like, I feel bad for them if this is real and this does come out, and like that modding team has been putting like years into that like community that they've been building. So like I feel slightly bad if this does really come out and it's real, and then like they've been working for like 7 years to get this out.
Well, think about it this
Jumping
way:
in
is
on
that
that.
like, well, I mean, I just want to say real quick, it's like if they were making it for free, and I assume releasing it for free as a mod for Skyrim, like a lot of the people who are going to play it are still going to play that mod. It's not going to really, like, the Elder Scrolls Oblivion remake is for people who weren't ever going to play that mod. So I don't really think of it like, I don't think they're that upset about it, but like maybe like a little bit of a, oh, we wish we could have gotten this out first, some type thing. But like, I don't think it's that big of a deal overall.
So if this rumor is real, I think they're gonna do what they did with RE2 remake, which I don't know if you guys know, but there was a fan group that was remaking pretty much Resident Evil 2 remake, and then Capcom came in and said, "Yeah, you got to stop this," because they were also gonna start making the remake. But because of that, inside the game, on one of the early statues, they put the list of the names of everybody who was working on that remake as like a commemoration thing. Kind of
Oh, that's
like build
pretty
a
cool.
hype for it. Yes, if
Oh, Bethesda's
this
not going
rumor
to do
is
that.
true, I can see Bethesda. I don't think Bethesda would.
Bethesda seems pretty cool to do something like that.
They're planning is pretty. It's gained a lot of traction. I can see them doing it.
How old is
I hope
Oblivion
so.
at this point?
It's pretty.
Came out in 06, so that's about,
Yeah,
let me do the math.
long time.
17 years.
Yeah, I guess.
Almost 17 years, because I think it released in the fall of 2006.
Sonic 06 is almost an adult, bro. That's crazy.
Oh, whoa.
But yeah, I guess like just in general, like, do you guys fully believe this rumor? You think this is definitely a thing? And Bench kind of brought this up earlier. Do you think this applies to other Bethesda games? I hate to bring it up. Do we see a Skyrim remake?
No.
I think
You fucking-
No, it's already
hope
on
Why are you
not.
other
putting this idea out
platforms.
into like the universe?
Skyrim's like
I-
so playable on like every platform now, and like the mods are just so good across the
I
board.
can
Like
play Skyrim
that
on my
remake
fucking
did not
fridge,
need
bro.
it.
I do think, but I think it depends on how far Elder Scrolls 6 is, because I doubt it's on the Series X. I think it's on what's next. So I think it depends on, because they have released the native version, but if they really wanted to remake it, they could. But also, I think they're going to prioritize other Bethesda games like a Fallout New Vegas.
Well, they
What about
said
y'all?
that the remake, according to the league, is coming out next year. or early 2025.
Which makes sense because that's 2024. I think some people said I think some people said like Elder Scrolls 6 is like at earliest 2026. So that kind of lines up.
Pre-production.
I thought it was
Yeah.
even later than that. I
It's gonna be
swear, like,
even later.
Yeah,
They're in
they said
pre-production
that's
right now.
that's where they're saying like earliest is 2026. Like it
Yeah,
could still slip into
earliest in reality is like
2027.
2029, bro.
Yeah, I was just
Yeah,
saying, I
because-
was thinking like a 2030 game.
They're gonna pump out they'll pump out Starfield expansions for a few years as well.
Oh yeah.
So that'll
That's true.
keep us tied
See them doing Fallout remasters and remakes too. I'm like
Yeah, that's the
60-40 on this Oblivion one being real though. It just feels kind of weird, but it could just be me.
Are you like stuck on the idea? Because there was also that rumor a while back of Obsidian doing a Fallout New Vegas remake. Do you
That's
think that-
another thing that kind of conflicts with me too. On top of
think-
I feel like it just feels like they would do Morrowind first. I don't see them like skipping Morrowind for Oblivion.
I think
Oblivion
think it-
has more cachet in today's world.
Yeah.
That's kind of my viewpoint.
but
That's
I
what I was
think
saying earlier. It's like,
I
it has
think,
the name, it has the nostalgia, but also I forget who said it, but someone said someone here said it's probably also an easier remake than Morrowind. So they just want to get
It
this
is.
thing
Yeah.
out.
That was bench, yeah.
Yeah, it's easier to remake and they just put out to just whet people's appetite to pretty much like you said, to keep in minds of everyone that hey, Elder Scrolls is still a thing. We still got 6 in a couple of years, but here's something in the meantime. Since
I
you're
think
bored of Skyrim's 5th re-release.
I think Obsidian is a little too busy to worry about a remake currently because
I mean,
'Cause
listen, they're Microsoft's Insomniac. They could probably get like 6 projects going at
Okay,
once.
Obsidian is
I
pretty
did
large.
also I listened to the VGC podcast and they mentioned that they've heard like the Obsidian like remake is kind of more of like a on a whiteboard kind of thing. It's just like an idea. It's nothing like actually being like nailed down and worked on. It's just an idea. So
Well,
Now
it's
if
just
this
in general.
Oblivion sells remake sells gangbusters, you bet your ass they're gonna be like, okay, now we're gonna go remake Morrowind.
Oh, it's gonna
I
sell
don't
well.
know.
I mean,
feel like they would have went
Elder
to
Scrolls-
Morrowind first. Yeah, Elder Scrolls
no.
will sell itself. I don't think it's really a problem when it comes down to sales.
Yeah, no, it's
I don't
gonna
know, that's
sell
just my take.
insanely well. My viewpoint is that I kind of agree with Bench. It's just like cachet of Oblivion's name is big enough, and it's an easier remake. So just in general, I feel like Oblivion makes more sense as a remake, and maybe they do Morrowind later. Yeah, I mean, the real question is why aren't they remaking Arena and Daggerfall, the first 2 games,
Yeah, we don't talk about those games.
or Battlespire? You guys remember that bad boy? No
I
one
don't.
does. Oh
No,
man,
you probably made that
In the
up.
trenches, bro.
I promise you guys. All right,
Considering the only Elder Scrolls I've played is about maybe 20 minutes of Skyrim, so
Yeah, Skyrim's the only one I played.
Same.
Before Oblivion, it was also the only one I played. We're fake fans, man. All right.
here's how far I got. I got to the first lockpick of Skyrim and I said no.
It's not even 20 minutes.
Oh
Almost like
man, I hate him so much.
5 minutes of that game.
I was
You got 7
I was a
minutes
different
of
gamer
Skyrim.
back then. I need to give it another try.
I'm
imagining.
imagining Moon getting to the lockpick like, what the fuck is this? And then just turning off the game. Like,
Yep. I
So-
broke all my lockpicks or whatever happens when you fail too much, and I just said nah.
The first lockpick is like the
you
easiest thing.
break your lockpicks. Oh man, that's gonna be a fun food coma. Who knows one of these days.
Skyrim
yeah.
Full Combat gonna go crazy.
But yeah, I guess any final thoughts on the Oblivion remake?
No?
Cool if true.
I need to play
Alright.
Skyrim.
I mean, I'll take it. I never got to play it, so.
I think it's true.
It's on Game Pass. I'm gonna go. We want to play it.
Yeah, great game. Moving on. VGC broke a big story. Andy Robinson has this. Sources: Nintendo targets 2024 with next-gen console. According to multiple people with knowledge of Nintendo's next-gen console plans, the company is likely to release new hardware during the second half of 2024 to ensure that it has ample stock available on day one and to avoid the kind of shortages seen with PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X/S. Although specific details on the console are being closely guarded, those VGC spoke to indicated that the next-gen console would be able to be used in portable mode, similar to Switch, which we could assume. Two sources VGC spoke to suggested that the console would launch with an LCD screen instead of the more premium OLED in order to bring down costs, especially considering the increased storage required for higher fidelity games. The current Switch games come with 32 gigabytes of internal memory, while many current gen PlayStation Xbox games are over 100 gigabytes. Like its predecessor, the new Nintendo console will also receive physical games via cartridge slot, the sources say. Other details, such as backwards compatibility support for Switch games, physical and digital, remains unclear. Nintendo has said it wants to convert as many of Switch's 100 million user base as possible to its next system, although some third-party publishers are said to have expressed concern that legacy support for Switch games could negatively affect sales of next-gen titles. Now, this was all the VGC article, but we also, Nate the Hate talked about the whole situation on his podcast, and kind of brought out his own details. So there's a good summary by Ashinfo over on the Gaming Leaks and Rumors subreddit, if you want kind of a good like bullet point subreddit summary. Nate has been hearing late 2024, says could launch in September, early October. Thinks we'll be getting a lot of chatter due to events coming up. Nothing from GDC at all, says MVG. Nate has multiple developers saying they know about dev kits. Last few weeks, seems pretty certain it'd launch with a 3D Mario. A prediction, but he sounded stern. Nate has heard chatters about production in Q1. Now, I will say real quick, the seems pretty certain it'd launch with a 3D Mario. I watched the podcast. He wasn't very certain that like this the actual post says. He just said that it's very, very likely. But I don't know about certain. That's not the word I would say. And then display talk, Nate thinks it's going to launch with an LCD screen, has been told it will be an 8-inch LCD screen. Storage Talk has heard chatter about a fairly significant amount of internal flash memory, has heard 512 gigabyte ceiling figure, informed speculation. That's the big thing, informed speculation. Game Card Talk thinks card format will change, and backwards compatibility can definitely be solved for. MVG thinks they will solve it in some way, no new info. And then announcement timing, Nate thinks they will wait till FY ends before they announce it. Could be any time now. I talked a lot because this is a pretty big story in general. This is definitely one of the bigger stories that we've had, at least of the week, which again, very slow news week. But the Switch 2 is obviously something that's on a lot of people's minds. I'm just going to immediately ask the panel, like, what do we think of these rumors? Do we believe them? Do we think it's all a fabricated BS? Just anyone have any thoughts on this?
I think
I
this
believe
is coming. Like 2024 has always been like something that I assume this was going to come out now.
there's too much
Like
smoke
worst
for there
case
not to be
VGC.
something.
Like we've known about this for so long now at this point.
Yeah.
Too much smoke
I mean,
for
I
there not to be anything at all. So, and I think pretty much believe everything. I always thought it was early 2025, but late 2024 does make up. But if they definitely need to have a strong holiday lineup if they're committed to that, which I do think there is 3D Mario.
That's the interesting thing. What's that holiday lineup look like? I mean, Metroid Prime 4 was kind of the big like launch title talker. Nate was talking about it on the podcast. He says he doesn't think it would be a launch title because he does not think it would be like a big, I guess, like showstopper, like a 3D Mario would be, like something that would make you buy the console itself. Do you guys have thoughts on Prime 4?
I don't think it's a launch title
for the Switch.
Yep, I think 3D Mario is the launch title.
Yeah, the Mario is kind of what we expected to be the launch title. So it'd be Mario, and this would be like either a new Mario Kart or a re-release of the same fucking Mario Kart we've been playing for.
Yeah.
So
I don't think it's Odyssey 2 either. I think it's something else.
Oh yeah, it's a whole new Mario game.
Sunshine 2.
No,
Galaxy
you and the 3
4.
Sunshine fans are not getting that yet.
Whoa.
Listen, I love Sunshine.
I'm curious if it is cross-gen.
Yeah, I mean that was the big thing about backwards compatibility.
Not even that.
It's insane. Oh, cross-gen?
So
is like the 3D Mario. Would that be on the Switch as well?
They would have to be
like
because they want to push the new console. Be like only on Switch 2.
I don't know.
Oh, you think it's going to be exclusive? I think
it'll be exclusive.
I think it's
because they need to make some kind of, there needs to be something to push the new console. It's like, if it's a cross-gen title, then what's the purpose of buying a Switch 2 when I can let's just call it Odyssey 2? It's like I'll just buy Odyssey 2 for my regular Switch, and only but only like us nerds are going to be only us nerds are going to be interested in stuff like that. The average consumer isn't going to care about them. They're like, oh, well, I don't need to buy a Switch 2. I can buy Odyssey 2 and play it on my normal Switch.
Okay, so
I
counterpoint.
also,
Breath of the Wild was the launch title for the Switch, and it was also on the Wii U.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
the problem is the Wii U was a failure, though.
True.
That still was
they
multi-platform.
committed. They committed
Did
to
they?
have Breath of the Wild on Wii
And
U
how much
before
did it
they
actually
even
sell
knew.
on Wii U?
Hey, I bought a
couple-
copy.
You and
Like,
the other
of
five
Of course you
people.
did.
Like the difference is we don't
copies
know.
of like everything. I swear to God.
We don't know if it's a 3D Mario or not, but they committed to launching Breath of the Wild on the Wii U before we even knew what the Switch was, so they didn't have a choice.
Well,
And it was
here's my
built to
thing.
be a Wii U game.
Well, here's my thing. So Nintendo EAD, I think it's EAD. I might be wrong, or is it R&D? I forget. But the 3D Mario team, they made Odyssey in 2017. In between then and now, they did Bowser's Fury, which is still like a big game, but like that's a smaller game. That's like a smaller part of a bigger game, I guess, of 3D World. But like it's still a smaller game. So that tells me that they've been working on a 3D Mario for the Switch 1, and I bet you something where it was like it's coinciding with the release of Switch 2, and a similar thing with the Breath of the Wild. So it's like, okay, make a Switch 2 version as well. I think it would be a situation like that where it will be cross-gen because they already have a Switch 1 version right now.
Okay, so
they
if
might as well.
if Odyssey 2 is a cross-gen title, then there's going to be something along the line of an ARMS, where there's something that's only going to be
Yeah.
on Switch 2. There's going to
It
be
won't be on
some
day
because
one.
there's going to be some weird launch title like a 1-2 Switch or an ARMS or something where it can only be played on Switch 2, because they're going to need something to sell, because right now a Switch 2 just seems like a slightly beefier Switch. So it's not going to be a revolutionary new device like it was between the Wii U and the Switch. That's where you can sell it on the, ooh, look, we're now portable. We can go play NBA basketball on the roof of a party. So they're not going to have that angle for marketing this time. So they're going to. So what else do you have to promote? So the last thing to promote is exclusive games.
I don't know
Yeah,
about that.
I mean, no, I
Because-
think he has a point there because like it
Oh,
is
it
an
depends
idea
on
of
how
like,
powerful the Switch is. The Switch 2 is. Because I know that the
well,
But once
the
again,
normal
the
consumers care.
the power of the Switch is only going to appeal to us podcast nerds,
Yeah,
not
but,
the
like, not
average
the normal
consumer.
Oh no, I don't know. Because let's say, because right now the rumors are saying there was like the power of like the Xbox One and PlayStation 4. The amount of games that opens up for to be ported to the Switch that have that anywhere, that's pretty
well, those
enticing.
are ports though. Those are
Yeah.
ports though. People don't care
Ports
about
of
Just
what?
squad
10-year-old
games that the-
games?
Just
They
games
care
of
about
that caliber.
Yeah, they don't. Well, that's not going to sell. It's just like, hey, Call of Duty's on Switch. Like the guy who buys Call of Duty every year, they're like, oh, that's cool. I'm still going to buy it on like PlayStation. Like it's not going to convert them. Like I just don't imagine that would
I
happen.
don't think Nintendo's even trying to convert them. Nintendo always does some weird shit, bro. You should know this. They play by the
Yeah, but
No, I know that, but
they-
no. The idea is they're trying to convert the Switch 1 audience to the Switch 2. And how do you do that with
It's just
exclusive?
gonna be
You're not going to
bigger and better.
You're not-
It's be a better Switch.
no, bigger
all you
and
gotta do.
better. No, but that doesn't convert normal everyday people. That doesn't convert just the normal person who just wants to play Mario Kart on their Switch. They're gonna say, "Hey, here's Switch 2. It's stronger." It's
I
like,
mean,
well,
it did
my
when the fucking
Switch 1
OLED Switch came
plays
out.
Mario
It converted some people who will fucking buy that.
How many copies of the OLED Switch have sold comparatively to the regular Switch and whatnot? I bet
Why
a
does it
lot
not
of people
have an
probably.
OLED, by the way? Like,
Hmm?
why is the
Say again?
screen not? Why is the screen not going to be OLED?
It's like a
Cost.
cut down
Money is
cost,
going back and forth.
which
What do
is
you think
very
it's gonna
disappointing.
cost? I think it'll be 400.
No,
I
it's
see
gonna be
350.
300.
I can see
400 is way
350.
too much. I think it's
350.
300.
If it was an OLED, maybe then 400. But I think Nintendo wants to avoid that $400, $500 Xbox PlayStation range, because the average consumer is going. They might not know a whole lot of about specs, but they can obviously see a difference in between games that are on the Switch and games that are like on the Series X and PlayStation 5, and they're saying, why am I spending the same amount of money for this little portable console when all these other home consoles are much better? So yeah, they want to cut price as much as possible to be the cheap alternative. Not cheap in like the bad way, but like the more affordable way.
Do y'all think? Do you think it's backwards compatible? Because I'm in the camp it better, or I'm
Yes.
going to be very upset.
That's-
It's gonna be.
I
Yeah,
think
that's-
it
a
is
little crazy
simply
to think it
because
wouldn't.
they're really pushing heavily Nintendo Switch Online right now, and everything that's tied to that leads me to believe, especially with the cloud saves, it leads me to believe that it's gonna be
Yeah.
backwards compatible.
Yeah,
They wouldn't be
I
pushing
think
it as
they
that
heavy
would
as
be-
they are if there's no plans
I
to
think
do
it would
and
be
it's
I think it would be a PR disaster. I think it would be a PR
Exactly.
disaster if it wasn't.
Yeah, because like, imagine because we cut them some slack when it came to the Wii U to the Switch because it was like, okay, it's a different format. We're going from
It's a whole
to
new console,
cartridges.
and yeah, that's correct.
We're still
But yeah,
we're still using cartridges on the Switch too. So
Yeah,
if you had stayed to say, but you can't get that specific cartridge.
when it's
you can't, like,
literally a
Mario
Switch
Odyssey.
2 is just a beefier version of it, everyone's gonna be like, well, why can't I use my same damn cartridge on the new console if it's the same thing? So yeah, if it is, that's gonna be one for the history books of Nintendo blunders.
Yeah, I mean, look at the Wii U in comparison. Like, I don't know, like backwards compatibility is not a console seller. Like, it's not something that would like sell consoles. But what it does is like, if you don't have backwards compatibility for the Switch to Switch 2, that is a PR disaster, like Min said, and it will affect maybe not like overall sales by like a severe amount, but you will notice like a lot of backlash, a lot of like just overall like you're going to see a lot more people in even mainstream media talk about backwards compatibility, which isn't a thing now. But I feel like that would happen if Switch 2 didn't have backwards compatibility.
That's how the words backward compatibility comes to the mainstream media. Is yeah, Nintendo Switch blunders so hard that it becomes like a thing that parents and everything have to be aware of. It's like every GameStop employee has to tell the parent of their 10-year-old child, hey, you know those bunch of Switch games that you bought for your kid? Yeah, this new console they're asking you for Christmas, you can't play any of them on it.
Yep. And that would be a big turnoff for a lot of people, especially if they don't have stuff like, say, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe at launch.
Deluxe
Mario
XL.
Kart 9, that's never happening.
Yeah, if they want to keep Mario Kart 8 keep selling, they gotta have it backwards compatible so they can sell more copies.
So one last thing, when do you guys think this thing gets announced? Because for timeline's sakes, the Nintendo Switch, it was referred to as the Nintendo NX around like 2015 or so, around the release of Splatoon. I know that much. It was referred to as the Nintendo NX. It was revealed in like a shareholder meeting, and it wasn't fully revealed as the Nintendo Switch until October of 2016, which it got like a big trailer showcasing what it was. And then we had the Nintendo Switch presentation in January of 2017, and then the overall launch of the console in March of 2017. And I kind of want to ask y'all, like, do you guys think it's going to be a similar cadence? Do we get that October reveal and then like until next year? Or do you think they're going to try to release closer?
I think it's revealed in the summer and comes out in October and November.
Yeah,
Maybe September. I think they reveal it at whatever E3 time would be because they're going to announce games for it then.
yeah,
I
because
can see that too.
they're not going to announce it this year because they're still going to want to push. They're not going to put it out into the heads of people and be like, hey, yeah, it's like we want you to buy Switch games this holiday, but Switch 2 is also coming next year, so so yeah, they're going to completely avoid it. Only let us people who learn about leaks and whatnot know about it, but the general audience is not going to know about a Switch 2 until Bench probably has it right on the money. Announce it during E3, and Nintendo loves these short marketing pushes now. So summer E3, launch it in like September, October. Yeah, that lines up to what Nintendo's been doing lately.
I think you want to, I think maybe announce it in September or October, and then you have more games come out. Like you launch it September, October, a new game comes out in November and December, and maybe like January. So you have the cadence of like a lot of big stuff coming out.
Well, the big thing they need that good first year. Because you look at the Switch, you want to know why that succeeded was because that first year was so insane.
Yeah.
It was literally a new game every month. You had Breath
That's
of the
what
Wild.
I think. I don't know if it'll be
MKA
every month, but I think for like the first 6 to 8 months, we'll have that kind of cadence of at least something.
Another game that I know is like basically done. I mean, I assume so. Monolith Soft had another game. After they finished Xenoblade 2, they started working on 2 projects. They started working, well, 3 really. They started working on Tears of the Kingdom. They started working on that. They started working on Xenoblade 3, and then they have a new IP. And that new IP has been in development all the way since way the fuck back then, and we haven't heard a thing about it since. That'll probably be the big game to like push that console to a thing.
later.
I don't think so.
I can't.
They've been working on it since.
Maybe they've been
Xenoblade
working
2.
on it since then, but I feel like they would need like the full team for it from Xenoblade.
I don't think it's a
3.
launch game, but it's a first year game.
It's not a launch game. It's every first year. The way the Monolith works, they're fucking insane. They break down their teams. It's more than possible this game is finished by now. given how long it's been cooking. It still is.
Vision, you think we get a Kirby game the first year?
No, but I wish.
God, I wish.
I don't think so, but it'd be cool if they did.
Here's the real
Yeah,
question.
I mean, Vision, you're. Or sorry, go ahead, Dirk, and then I'll ask you.
How's this? Because we know what's gonna happen. Is it gonna be Mario Kart 9? Are we getting 8 for the 10th time?
I
we get a
think
new Mario
they
Kart.
have to do
No.
9.
No,
It'd be ridiculous.
they're gonna milk
It's-
8
look, Mario
Deluxe
Kart's
for
what
a
sells,
bit
bro.
longer. Yeah, they're gonna
How much
milk 8 for
longer?
a good couple more years because they have the DLC until the end of this year, so they got to let that ride for like maybe another year or two. So by like end of
Let it in.
2024, so maybe like 2025, 26 is when we'll probably start getting word of another Mario Kart, unless they do
Bro,
more
I want
DLC.
I want you guys to think about this for a second. Mario Kart 8 turns 10 years old next year. GTA
Hell
5
yeah.
turns 10 years old this year.
That's
And we're just
crazy,
now
honestly.
getting GTA 6 next
How
year.
is this real? This is insane to me. Man, I guess Fusion, you've been quiet. I know you're not really the biggest Nintendo guy, but like anything about these Switch 2 rumors that do anything for you, or are you kind of like apprehensive and not interested?
No, it's more of like I won't care until I see it. That's kind of how I am with the Switch. Is like I've been asking for a more powerful Switch for like years at this point. Like I held off on getting a Switch for so long, and then folded and bought the OLED, and I've played like 4 games on it. If you're giving me if this Switch comes out and it's as powerful as the Xbox One and PS4 I would love it if backwards compatible is a thing. You know what I mean? If I'm able to play those Switch games and they're going to run better, then I'm going to be really excited about the Switch. But if I can't play old Switch games and better resolution and FPS on a new Switch, I don't know if this is going to do it for me personally.
Yeah, I wouldn't get your hopes up, buddy.
And
Yeah,
and I was
because
say, and
that's
it's
the other.
Nintendo, so
Like,
Yeah,
you,
that's the
you,
thing.
you,
It's
you
like,
said that the old games would get improved. Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
yeah,
Nintendo is
No.
about their games, not about the
I-
power.
It
Yeah,
depends on if their frame rate's unlocked or locked, because then it would just kind of be an automatic thing, right?
Like, maybe frame rate, but they're not gonna increase the resolution or anything like that.
yeah, because that would require them to actually update the game. Yeah, your game might load a little quicker because of the new hardware, but it's not going to look or play, or maybe it'll play a little bit better, but not because everything else besides that needs the actual developer of the game to put out a patch for it, and they're not going to be doing
do
that
think
for
Zelda
a
gets
lot of
patched.
games.
my question is, will you think they would do anything with like DLSS, like the NVIDIA like frame generation thing, where like they don't you getting how that work, where like you're basically getting FPS in the back, like more FPS by them just like creating resolution in the background.
Well, no,
I
I
wonder
mean,
if like
DLSS is like something that's been confirmed, right? Or am I?
I mean I
heard a lot
remember they had like a deal with NVIDIA. That's why I remember
Yeah.
they had that.
Okay, that's
So
what I got. Yeah.
I feel like if this Switch does have any access to that, I feel like that's an easy way to have your older games just run better, at least FPS wise. Because like if you can just
Yeah.
put that on, like you're going to get FPS improvements.
Yeah, everything's gonna look better. Like Mario Odyssey on a Switch 1 will look a lot better so other way around. Mario Odyssey on a Switch 2 is gonna look a lot better than it does on a Switch 1. Play a bit better as well. Yeah, I guess like maybe the apprehension comes from like just how much better, like how much more improved will it be? But yeah, I guess if that's everything on relation to Switch, any last thoughts you guys wanted to bring up?
No.
All right. I guess I'm excited to see what they do with it. I really hope it's something good.
It's definitely we need to hurry up and wait because it's been so long. Like literally the year after the Switch, we were all like, okay, when's the next stronger version?
Yeah.
I'll be honest, man. Every time I turn on the Switch, I'm like, I hate this thing so fucking much. I need a new one.
Even non-games that are super powerful, like when I was playing Raincoat, those loading screens were forever.
Dude, Pikmin 4, the loading screens, I was sitting there like, there's no way this is real. This is Pikmin, all right? Come on.
Screens.
Imagine GTA 5 on Switch. That thing would blow up, which is crazy because GTA 5 is a 10-year-old game. But hey, you know what?
Given the fact that
Never doubt the
Arkham
Switch.
Knight is coming to Switch, it might not
I
be
am
that.
so excited to see what happens there. But speaking of the Switch, actually, we got another Switch story. This comes from GamesIndustry.biz. Marie Delit, again, butcher this name, Delasandri wrote this up. Tears of the Kingdom drives Nintendo sales up 50% year on year. Nintendo has released its financial results for 3 months ended June 30th, 2023, therefore including the release of the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Unsurprisingly, the Japanese company has had a very successful quarter, but hasn't revised its forecast upwards for the full year. I'll go over this real quick. Net sales 461 billion. Hang on. Sorry, let me read that again. Net sales 3.22 billion USD, up 50% year on year. Operating profit 1.29 billion, up 82% year on year. Ordinary profit 1.77 billion, and then net profit 1.25. So the big thing is that like a lot of it year on year, above 50% for a lot of those. Nintendo Switch hardware sales 3.91 million units. And then Nintendo Switch software sales, 52.21 million units. And one of the big highlights that is brought up in this article, Nintendo has had success across the board during its Q1 for financial year 2024, with Zelda Tears of the Kingdom selling 18.51 million units as of June 30th. The title released on May 12th. That does not sound like a real number. I guess, you know what? Nintendo's doing pretty good, guys. Maybe they don't need the Switch too.
Yeah, that number is insane. When I read that number, I was like, how do they keep getting away with it?
Good game.
They make good games.
Yeah,
it's just like it's insane. It's just insane how they're like in a different world.
I
In a
read
different
that number
category,
and
bro.
I'm like, can you? Think about it for a second. In like a month and a half, it literally sold more than every other Zelda game except Breath of the Wild.
Yep.
How is that a real number? I don't know. I keep reading it and I'm just like, there's no way. Like there has to be some typo here.
Maybe they're lying.
Yeah, maybe they're just lying to us. They're gaslighting us. It's like, oh, it actually sold like 2 million. It was a failure.
Put into perspective, Rainco just also put out their numbers, and they just sold 300,000.
That's actually pretty big for that game.
Yeah,
it
that's
is.
a lot. That's a lot for Ringo.
It's a lot, which is like, but it is a crazy comparison to see a game that only released for Rainco released maybe like a month later or something like that, and just the vast difference. But also, it's Legend of Zelda versus a first known and first IP.
Yeah, well, that's what's interesting is that that's the thing. Before Breath of the Wild, Zelda wasn't actually as major of a seller as you would have expected. And that Breath of the Wild sold like 20 plus million units, being a launch title for the Switch. So, Tears of the Kingdom already being very close to meeting Breath of the Wild in a month and a half. I mean, do you guys think this beats Breath of the Wild in terms of like sales wise?
In the long run, probably.
What is Breath of the Wild numbers though?
I can check real quick.
It's gonna probably be insane.
I'm really thinking like.
I contributed to that.
I'm gonna guess like 40 million.
40 million. Whoa! Wait! I want to get guesses from everyone here. So Fusion says 40.
Is that low?
Well, no. I'm just wondering. Dark, what about you?
I don't know.
I'd have
probably
to
wants to say a
the
highest
top
number,
10.
but I don't know like what's like high and what's not. Let's go 25 million. I feel like I'm under short at like selling it. Yeah, let's go with that.
Okay, 25 million. Moon, what about you?
I'm gonna look up go to bench real quick. I look.
Whoa! Let me look up the sales.
Bench, no, I gotta look up like the.
No, Breath of the Wild in general, total sales. Like for Breath of the
Wild sales?
Yeah, total. What do you think? Don't look it up. I know you're looking it up. Don't look it up.
No, I already know what it is. It's 30.87, right? 30 million? 0.87?
Breath of the Wild is currently at 30 million, yeah.
Oh shit!
Wow,
okay. I looked at the results on my own already.
Only two of you participated.
Oh, I thought the game was predicting what Tears of the Kingdom would end at.
So I was over by 10 million. I was okay.
Yeah,
I read the news, Wolf.
I thought it sold a lot. Well, I mean, 30 million is still insane, obviously, but for some reason I was thinking it was like.
That is so funny to think about. It's like, oh, wow, that's kind of disappointing. 30 million.
I felt like everyone in the world had that game.
No, it was 30.65 million.
So the reason why I was looking it up because I thought we were guessing Tears of the Kingdom. So I was like, okay, what are the top 10 looking like? That's why I was looking it up.
We should guess Tears of the Kingdom. We should guess Tears of the Kingdom sale for the first year.
Yeah, for the next year, what do we think Tears of the Kingdom ends at for first year? 50?
In the first year?
I think 40.
Did you see how much it sold in a couple months?
Yeah, but it's gonna fall
Please,
off
what
fast.
is-
It's gonna fall
I
off
don't-
pretty
Here-
hard
I don't
though.
think it's
No,
gonna
keep in
fall
mind,
off.
keep in
here's my
mind,
argument.
Christmas is gonna come.
I ain't no one care about
Here's-
Christmas.
Here's my
Let's do it.
argument. Here's my argument. Look at it, don't take this as an attack, Fusion. I know you love this game. Look at Last of Us Part 2.
I'm
And
already
how-
mad.
No, wait.
Okay.
Listen before I talk.
She's already contemplating, bro.
He's like, maybe I should leave the podcast. Fuck this. No, but they were talking so highly. They were like, we hit 4 million in the first month, and it was like this huge thing. It was like the fastest selling exclusive. And I swear to God, for like a year, they did not update that number or like tell, because like everyone was like, well, it's gonna be the best selling PlayStation exclusive. And then like eventually we heard it's like, yeah, I hit it like 10 million. Still pretty good. So it's like the thing is these sales fall off. Like that's just a matter of fact. So like a year, I don't think so. Maybe in like 10 years it hits 50 million.
I'm gonna
but
say
like in
I'm gonna
1
say
year, no.
26 million.
I think, yeah, I'm gonna go 28 million. I think it'll at least hit that much.
I think it hits 40.
40 is ridiculous.
It'll hit that eventually, but not by the end of the year. Maybe like by the end of next year.
So to point out, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is currently the highest selling game right now at 55.46 million. My God, maybe that's why there's no Mario Kart 9.
No,
And
it
then
keeps
Animal-
The
selling.
same game for 10 years.
It's been on like the highest selling list of games every week for the past 10 years. So no, they're not going to get rid of that anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean the current top 3 is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe at 55.46, and then New Horizons at 42.79. And then Smash Ultimate at 31.77. That's kind of crazy how there's like a 10 million difference between each of the top 3. Like I don't know why. That's just only
Yeah,
Nintendo games will make you see that number. Like 10 million seem low.
I think
Which is
Tears of the
insane.
Kingdom will land like somewhere either right below Breath of the Wild or right above Breath of the Wild, but not surpassing Smash. It's going to be like at the number 4 or 5 spot probably. It probably does pass Mario Odyssey, which is at 26 million.
Man, I hope it doesn't pass Smash. Just for the fact that I like Smash more.
It's a
Very
better game,
biased.
so.
It is
Thanks,
fascinating
dude.
looking at like this top list. Like there is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-way tie for number 75, and they're fascinating
Six-way
games.
tie? What
Enter
are
the
those
gun.
games?
Enter the Gungeon, Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes, which is a shame because that was actually a good game. Fitness
great.
Boxing, Fitness
Oh, wait,
Boxing 2.
Enter the Gungeon, is it?
I don't know. Story of
Yeah, that's-
Seasons, Pioneers of Olive Town, and Thief Simulator.
Thief Simulator. Hey, shout out to that.
Shout
Shout out
that
to you for
junkie.
making 1 million sales on the Switch.
Yeah.
I can't get over how Moon was just like, enter the Gungeon, which who cares? And then Fire Emblem.
I don't
3
know
Hopes,
anything
what a
about
shame.
entering. I
That
mean, I've
game's
heard
actually
about it.
Good. Yeah, okay, real quick.
No,
plug,
I just
Enter the Gungeon
expected-
is
I-
phenomenal. It is a
I just
phenomenal game.
expected 3 Hopes to be higher just because it is a Nintendo property. I just expected it to be higher.
Oh yeah, but it's like Fire Emblem, which is
But
like,
granted,
I
there's
love
also
Fire
right at
Emblem,
70,
but
right at there
those.
at 74 is Bayonetta 3. So I guess
Yeah,
being a Nintendo exclusive doesn't automatically get you up higher on the list.
yeah. I mean, with franchises like that versus Mario.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Mario's
Mario's. I
power.
wonder what the
Yeah.
lowest Mario
Plumber.
game is on this list.
Boone is having fun with the sales.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess just looking at all those sales. I mean,
Mario
do you think,
Rabbids.
like objectively, do you guys think Nintendo needs a Switch 2? Because obviously we all want it. They're gonna do it, but do they need it, or could they just coast off the Switch? for the
I'm
rest
This
of
is
I'm
the
gonna
so
be-
happy with my Switch, bro. Just fix the Joy-Cons.
I think they
This-
could toast for another 3 years.
They could coast, but
Yeah.
I think they are going to offer. This is going to be less a Switch 2 and more like a Switch Pro. It's just going to be a beefier Switch for us nerds who
Uh-huh.
want a more powerful console, and it's just going to appeal to those people.
They'll have like exclusive games though. That's
Yeah.
what also.
Here and there. Like, does anybody have exclusive games like the new 3DS that
Yeah,
Well, no,
Is it
I
gonna-
think
like what
they-
two
they'll
exclusives or some shit?
they're gonna fully transition to the Switch 2 at one point.
Maybe.
Eventually. I think it will be like what's a good comparison? Because the thing is, usually when Nintendo switches consoles, they kind of just completely abandon the previous console.
They're not
This is like
swapping consoles.
yeah. That's why this is
No.
going to be more akin to the new 3DS to the 3DS more than like a Wii U
Yeah,
to
yeah.
a Wii.
well, I mean, this is backwards compatible, but I still think like it will be a thing where eventually after the first year, you're gonna only see Switch 2 games instead of
It
Switch
really
I don't
depends
think
on
so.
like
I
how
feel like
big.
it's gonna be like the new 3DS. There'll be a couple exclusives here and there.
I can't imagine that.
I think it'll
I
start
can't
like that, and maybe like 5 years down the road, maybe
No.
we'll get like an actual like new console.
Okay, I'll say this then. It'll be kind of like how the PS5 is being treated now, where like you get a lot of PS5
I
and
don't see
PS4
that.
games. We're still not really fully getting exclusives for PS5 from third-party companies. Like we're not getting as many as we think we should be at this point of the generation. I think that will be the switch.
Nintendo going first-party exclusivity like that on the new Switch.
I think Nintendo's old-fashioned. I feel like they're just gonna say like,
Yeah, because the Switch,
it's
the Switch install base to like the common family is way too big. Like they're not gonna drop that off anytime soon.
With the 3DS, they're gonna repeat that, bro.
I don't know. It's just I think it is a full transition. I think eventually they're gonna say it's only Switch 2 games from now on.
I agree.
Fusion, you're the tiebreaker.
It's the reason why PS4 is still being made for like everything that's not a Sony first party is because these games are being made to where they don't need the full power of the PlayStation 5, but so they can easily just make a PlayStation 4 version or just have it be a PlayStation 4 game.
The difference
and
is
just sell to the massive install base.
Sony's games cost $200,000 to make, and they don't sell nearly as much as Nintendo games. And Nintendo games cost way less and make way more. So I don't think they need to be as conservative about keeping everybody around on a PS4 than Nintendo does with the transition to a next console.
This dude Bench is smart.
Yeah, look at him go. I'm proud.
Like,
Fusion, you're the tiebreaker. What do you think?
I think it will be more like the PS4, PS5. And I just don't like the Switch is from 2017, and like every iPhone in the past 10 years is stronger than that thing. Like at some point your game's just not running on it. Like that's just how it works. I don't know, we're talking about a console that is about to be 7 years old, and it's worse than consoles that are 10 years old. Like this thing at some point just can't run these video games. Yeah,
well, think about it this way:
like,
third-party devs are not going to want to work on the Switch anymore.
Like, especially once the Switch 2 is out. Like, no one's gonna be like, "Yeah, let me work on this thing."
Yeah, no one wants to work on the Switch 1 anymore. As a third-party dev,
I don't know.
It's just like you don't gain.
I don't know
anything
about
from
that.
I don't know, bro. There is money to be made.
But like they can actually make ports that work. The problem with the ports now is that they don't work. And granted, you could say that they don't work on them enough to make these ports work, but also the hardware is not strong enough to allow them to make ports of like the Outer Worlds, which is a horrible port. That they
no, I'm not talking about ports. I'm just talking about like I am a dev right now. I'm gonna go make my game, and it's going to run on a Switch, but it'll have a slightly boosted version on the Switch too.
Exactly.
I just can't imagine. Like, I feel like that's the thing, though. Maybe for the first couple of years, sure, but I just like 5 years down the line, they're gonna want to.
Yeah, 5 years down the line, we're gonna have Switch 3 or Switch 2.5 that will be a bit more of a cutoff. But I think the Switch base right now is just too big to just do a hard cut and be like, nope, okay, only Switch 2 games and only on Switch 2.
Well, that's what's weird, though. I mean, like, you could have said that about the PS2 to PS3, and yet there was a hard cutoff. Same with the PS3 to PS4. Like, those consoles sold so well, and then they had a full reset. I mean, you can make an argument that, like, gaming has changed, and like it's more consoles are more iterative with.
It's changed, and there will be more backlash because of an online presence.
Different landscape too, with how things work.
I don't know. I guess I'm with Bench and Fusion, where I think there will be a very clear cutoff. And we outnumber you guys, so you're off the podcast.
Yeah, you guys are fired.
The fuck you think this is?
I said democracy.
Mutiny.
We also had way more to talk about with sales than I thought we would. So I'm glad I made that a big topic because that was a fun.
Oh yeah, this would be a quick podcast. You said, yeah, fuck, you're right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're gonna look at the rest of the small topics. We're gonna blow through all these.
We're about to soar.
You guys act like this podcast is like a job. We don't get any money. We're not getting paid.
It's a job of passion, bro.
It's just a little late for some of us, you know.
You just don't care about us.
Whining. All right, moving on. We're gonna move on to our small topics. Fusion. Let's stop with these Nintendo stories. All right, it's time for the Sony ponies. There we go, the Sony ponies. Wario64 brought this up. We got a new PS5 beta update beta. Going through. Where 64 had this on Twitter. PS5 beta forward rolling out today. Support for M.2 SSD up to 8 terabytes. Support for compatible Dolby Atmos enabled devices. Use second controller as assistance for accessibility. This is one of the big ones. Mute PS5 beep sound, which is just funny to read. Search within your game library, which that's huge for me. Fucking finally. And then system UI haptic feedback. Fusion, you got an immediate thoughts on that?
Honestly, there's not a lot there for me, but like that mute button for like the sound of your PlayStation turn on, like people have been asking for that for like 2 decades. Like,
It's
and
so
the
weird
fact
They
that
that
didn't give it to
long,
us.
I like the
You
beep.
I like
I
the
like
I
the
love
beep.
the Yeah,
I like
same.
beep.
I think
So,
I
like,
think it's for the people who are trying to like play 2K
hide.
at 2 a.m. when their girlfriend is sleeping right next to them. It's like, well, I want to play some
The people
2K.
that
wake
aren't in a
up.
great relationship, like
It isn't
that's what
even
that's
that
for.
loud.
It's pretty loud. I mean, Bench, you gotta think about
It's
it this way:
loud.
2 a.m. Someone's sleeping right next to you, and you want to play some 2K. You beep it up. Like
But
that's just loud.
honestly,
as hell.
then you move it to another room because the light of the screen's gonna wake them up anyways.
Even
So,
then,
like,
in like a
Getting real into
small
the semantics there.
imagine like just a couple living in like a small apartment. Like even if you're in technically the living room and there's the bedroom, that's like that beep is gonna travel in a very dead of night 2 a.m.
Traveling.
Play in the bathroom.
The
Play in
bathroom's
the
even
bathroom.
He's
worse.
the bathroom. He's a
You know the
you
echo that
to
goes
the
on in the bathroom?
You have to throw a
I
blanket
think-
over it to like mask the sound.
Think about it this way: have you guys ever had that like situation where it's 2 a.m. and you want to eat some like your
Yes,
parents got
the
you a cake from
microwave.
Walmart? Yeah, or the microwave,
Yeah.
or like those like cakes that come in those packages where it's like, okay, well, let me open the
Dude, the
package, and
containers
it
that
makes
you can't do
those
quietly.
loud ass containers. That's the PS5 beep sound, where it's like quiet normally, but like at 2 a.m. that shit is loud.
Everything is loud at 2 a.m. in the morning.
Exactly. We got really into the weeds with that conversation. But
I mean,
And plays his games in the bathroom, obviously.
Fusion, did you have thoughts on anything
I
else?
would say in the world though, it is cool to see like the PlayStation still getting these like much needed software updates. Like
Yeah, exactly.
it seems like every few months we're getting like new things that it's just like they keep adding things that just makes the console better. It's like Xbox is doing the same. So it's cool to see them just still supporting and not just being like complacent and sitting on these things. Like they're still coming out every few months.
Exactly.
Only the Switch did that. We've been asking for themes for stuff like that.
Dude,
Remember when they
when
added
okay,
folders?
yeah, I was about to say, remember when they added folders and everyone was like, finally, and nobody uses them. I have not heard a single person use folders because they added them, but they didn't do it right, so they're bad. I don't remember exactly what was wrong with folders, but I remember there was like some severe flaw where it's like, oh, this just ain't it. But I do really want to talk about my favorite thing of this update. Search within your game library. I've been known to buy multiple copies of games. And
The Skyward Sword.
being able to search within my game library just to make sure I own a game, I don't know, for someone with like a bunch of digital games, that's pretty helpful. That's all I'll say. So I'm very excited about that feature. I hope that goes through very soon. But yeah, not much else to say. Very good to hear. Moving on, I wanted to move on to a little bit of sad news, but the more I think about it, it's like, it's not that bad, really. Yuka Kitamura is leaving FromSoftware. This comes from her Twitter account. Thank you all for your continued support. Today, I have an announcement to make. I have decided to leave FromSoftware, the company I work for, and to start working new as a freelance composer in this August. It's just overall, like, basically, Yuka Kitamura, if you don't know, she was the composer for. She worked at FromSoftware since Dark Souls 2. Composed most of the soundtrack for Dark Souls 2, a lot of the soundtrack for Bloodborne, most of it for Dark Souls 3, and then she composed the entirety of Sekiro and a lot of tracks for Elden Ring. So she's very much like composed some of the best video game soundtracks of all time. She is an absolute legend in the gaming composing space. And I've been talking to other people about it, and it seems more so like it's not that sad of news because this just means she's going to be working for a lot of other companies too. But like FromSoftware can still contract her, so I don't think this is going to be like
Just her
she's
getting
never
more
going to work on.
opportunities.
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to be like, oh, she's never going to work on a FromSoft game again. It's just that she's now going to be able to work for other game companies, which is honestly really exciting to think about. Like maybe getting Yuka on Kitamura on a what's it called? A
Persona 6.
Yeah, Final Fantasy game more so. I feel like that would fit. I don't know. Persona 6 with
Persona has a
Acquire.
very
That
unique
just
style.
Yeah, I don't know. But like Final Fantasy 17, like getting like Souls-esque music there, that would be so exciting. But yeah, overall, like I don't know about. I don't think it's bitter or sweet or anything. I think it's just neutral news, like interesting to think about. Moving on. This one, I really want to know Fusion's thoughts on this one. Jedi Survivor. We got some sales, and we also got the announcement of something very, very interesting. This comes from Benji Sales over on Twitter. EA had a record financial year Q1 with net booking growing 21% year over year. EA says Star Wars Jedi Survivor was the driving factor. EA says Jedi Survivor is a commercial success with millions of players. They also state players are spending more time in-game than they did with Fallen Order. I have thoughts on that specific stat I'll go over in a second. But Benji Sales also posted on Twitter, EA says in their earnings call, Respawn is currently making Star Wars Jedi Survivor PS4 and Xbox One versions. Fusion, you have the floor.
Yeah, on one side, it's awesome that Respawn in this game has like sold really well. Like that's great to hear because like this game is good. But on another side, about just a little tangent about this game runs so poorly, and the fact that it has sold millions and millions and millions and millions of copies, it's just one of those things where like gamers just buy things. Like they spend their money and like they don't like it's always the same where like
We know you're talking about Wolf.
I mean, yeah, but no, I'm talking about anyone because
okay, continue.
Because I'm not the same, but it's like speak with your wallet, and gamers have like the game community just hasn't like adapted that yet because like a game like this, I'm not saying it doesn't deserve the millions because like they put hard work and this game is good, but like with all the issues, it's crazy to me that it's already like breaking records for them and doing all that. And then besides that point, if this game runs even like I can't believe it's gonna run on a PS4 or Xbox One. Like until I see it, I don't believe it.
I don't know how that works. I genuinely have no idea because PS5 version at launch was terrible, and you played it like months later, and it was still terrible.
Yeah, I played it a month ago, and it was unplayable at parts. So like I have no idea how they're gonna get it on those consoles.
Because they're gonna just reduce everything about it, and
I mean,
it's gonna run better.
There was already parts on PS5 that downscaled to 720p. What are you gonna What are you gonna go on a PS4 a freaking 480p? Like.
So I have a prediction. I feel like the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 is probably gonna be like the definitive version of this game. For some reason.
Well, it's gonna be the definitive edition because they don't even have a release date for this, right? So they're gonna be working on this in the meantime. So
I feel like
it's gonna come
be the best
out
version.
It's gonna be the best running at launch.
Hey,
and I
this
feel like
means
the
that
version.
this is gonna come to Switch too now.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I feel like the reason why they're doing this is for the Switch too.
Man, can you guys just think about that? Can you guys think about that for a second? We're gonna get a PS5 game, and then 2 years later, we're gonna get the PS4 version.
Yeah, I hate
like that. Just doesn't sound right.
It's gonna run better on the PlayStation 4 version because the PlayStation 5 is not needed yet.
It's already selling so well. Like who? Like I don't like why put the resources at Respawn to be like, hey, we're gonna also make it on these consoles.
Because there's still a lot of people who just have a PS4 or Xbox One who don't have the next gen consoles.
But by the time this game comes out,
by the time they're gonna have PS5s and Xbox Ones.
Like this game could come out in 2 years.
You don't know.
Yeah, I don't
games
know,
on the PlayStation
but like
2.
a lot of
They're
people.
making games on the PlayStation 2.
No, they're not. Wait. When
they're
No, they're not.
It was a game recently that was on the PlayStation 2. I forgot what the fuck it was. But
well,
yeah,
those are like
one game that's been made in the past 12 years. Wow, like what?
No. The last
there's
official
still a large community base on those old consoles, and it's good that they're getting these games too. More people are going to play games. That's a good thing, in my opinion, especially since the games are already out on next gen.
Not a game that can't run.
Is it on the cost of like development resources going towards a version of the game that doesn't need to exist? Is that really a good thing?
I mean, it depends on how the game. I feel like the game's actually come out in a really good state. I'm dead serious.
Yeah, it's gonna come out in a good state because it's gonna get another year of development.
When I tell you guys, me and Fusion played that game. There's no way in hell that shit runs on a PS4.
I just played the game after 8 or 9 patches, and they can't get it close to finish. Like I don't understand how like a year is not giving them up. They need 7.
I threw it on quality mode, and I was still getting frame rate dips. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I don't understand. Like, there's no way that game runs well on a PS4 and Xbox One.
I don't know. I believe, bro.
Okay, imagine a base Xbox One running this game. Really think about that for a second, because
It's gonna
that
be incredible. I'm
scares
telling you.
me. That
It's going to be an
Xbox-
amazing Digital Foundry video.
If the Switch
I can't
can
wait.
run the Arkham collection,
We
anything
don't
is
know if it can run it yet.
We don't know
It's not
that.
out.
We don't know that.
We've just
The
heard
Portable
best
fucking
running,
whispers.
the best running Switch port, I think, is like Doom Eternal of like a most recent game. I think Doom Eternal runs
Yeah,
pretty
and
well.
Turn on
they
the
like
Witcher.
severely had to rewrite the code for that game to get it to work.
I remember they said it's like, guys, it's gonna be day and date, and then they're like, we have to delay the Switch version, and they were like, all right, where's the Switch version? We're like, I don't know.
And then
they
they,
didn't.
and then they canceled
like
the physical
shadow dropped
version.
it.
Yeah, they should have
Okay.
dropped a digital version because they canceled the physical one.
Like,
A little
genuinely.
side note is like, for one, Hogwarts has Hogwarts come to PS4 and Xbox One? yet?
Yes,
Because-
but
yeah,
it hasn't
yeah.
come to
Finally
Switch
did?
yet. The Switch version
Okay.
comes out later this year.
Because I
Also, I'm
said
pretty sure that
they had to delay that multiple times to get that game. You know what I mean? To like run on those consoles, and that game ran way better than Jedi Survivor.
And then remember, Marvel's Midnight Suns also was supposed to have previous gen versions, and those got canceled because they couldn't make the game
I
run.
just say a lot. You hear about a lot of these people who are like, we're gonna put it on these systems, and then they cancel them a year later.
Yeah.
So like,
Do you think it gets canceled, Fusion?
yes.
There's a possibility. There's a
I
possibility.
believe. I believe.
I think it's gonna come out, but it's gonna be a terrible port.
I believe
it's
this-
just gonna be painful
I
to look at.
I think it would be hilarious if a narrative comes out that the old gen runs better than the new gen.
It would be funny. I know. Trust me, that would be funny. But it's also like sad. Like, man, you couldn't get the new gen versions running good. Like, you had like 2 years to do it, and you couldn't make it work well. Like, I don't know. That would be a sucky thing to read about, because it's like, why'd you launch it so early? It just doesn't make sense.
The Ubisoft experience.
The mouse needs to get paid.
Moving on. We got some Gamescom, like Xbox plans for Gamescom. There's not too much here. Xbox reveals more Gamescom 2023 details. This comes from Mario64 over on Twitter. Over 30 plus titles at Xbox booth. Starfield, Forza, Aura, History Untold theater presentations. Playable titles: Stalker 2, Cyberpunk, Phantom Liberty, Armored Core 6, Persona 5 Tactica, and more. And then hands-on with Towerborn. You guys have any thoughts on this?
Starfield's not playable, so it must be bad. That's what I've been hearing.
Bro, I keep saying that. Oh my god, that is the dumbest take in the world. I tell you.
Comes out like a week after Gamescom. They don't need to
I
prepare
know.
a demo.
That's all I
To be
keep
fair,
hearing.
Tears
Is
of the
people
Kingdom
being
wasn't
like,
even playable, so
I think big news. Gamers freak out over really dumb bullshit, and this is
Yeah.
one of them. The amount of people I saw like, it's not playable. They're hiding it from us. It's like, no, they just don't think there needs. I don't know how you do a playable demo for Starfield. That's all I'll say. Like,
Yeah, I don't
The
know.
other
like a
thing
chunk of
is
that game.
a playable demo also takes away resources from work on the game because they have to make like the game. It's not just saying, okay, from here to here is a playable demo version. Boom, done. Like, no, they have to like almost build that from the ground up in a way to make a demo.
correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure Bethesda RPGs never had a demo.
I don't think they have.
Uh,
I think someone from
Yeah,
Bethesda
exactly.
went on Twitter the other day.
They
and was
don't do
like,
this.
Like none of our games have ever had a demo. This isn't new to us. Like,
Yeah, because
Granted, none of
a
our games
giant
ran
open
well at
world.
launch,
How do you make
but-
a demo out of a giant open world?
Yeah.
You don't.
I guess. Any thoughts on the other playable titles that the games that are actually playable?
It's actually
I mean,
interesting to
cool, I
see
guess.
these third-party titles like have such a strong Xbox presence. Like, obviously, the Atlas with Persona 5 Tactica is kind of given because they come in the Game Pass, but something like Armored Core having such a big Xbox presence is kind of interesting to note.
Good to
Stalker
see it.
2 is a weird one for me.
Yeah,
I'm
Stalker.
surprised it's going to be playable because that game, obviously, it was a Ukrainian studio, and that game's been delayed because of obvious reasons. But what's it called? I didn't think it would be having a playable demo so soon. I thought that game would be even further along than we anticipated because of everything that's been going on with it. But hey, I mean, I'm surprised. Like, if they just say, hey, early 2024, I'm excited because I'd be excited to hear.
If it's having a
yeah.
playable demo, I think it's probably a early to mid 2024 title then.
Yeah, I'm with you. Moving on. Layoffs reported at Calisto Protocol Studio striking distance. This comes from Chris Scullion over at VGC. A number of layoffs have been reported at Striking Distance Studio, the developer behind Callisto Protocol, as initially noticed by Twitter user Talibools. Numerous striking distance staff took to LinkedIn to report that Tuesday was their last day at the studio, and they were now looking for work. It's not yet clear how widespread the layoffs are, but VGC has identified at least 6 staff members from design and production teams who have announced their departure. There's also an update of 2nd of August 2023. It has now been confirmed that 32 employees have been laid off. In a statement to IGN, a spokesperson for publisher Krafton says Striking Distance Studios and Krafton have implemented strategic changes that realign the studio's priorities. Sorry. I'm the only one that played Callisto, so I know this is bullshit.
I know that game is good.
Realign the studio's priorities to better position its current and future projects for success. Sorry. This statement is so shit. Unfortunately, these changes have impacted 32 employees. Quote, honoring the invaluable contributions of each departing team member with material support in the form of outplacement services and meaningful severance packages is our top priority during this difficult moment. Now, I'm just going to say this right off the top. This game sucked. I don't know what the fuck happened to Callisto Protocol to cause so much drama. And also the DLC happened last month. I didn't play it, but I read about it. And let me tell you guys got to watch the DLC at least, because it is genuinely one of the worst endings I have ever seen. But I mean, do you guys think, I guess, Striking Distance, is there a future for this company, Callisto Protocol 2?
Yeah, I don't think it'll be Callisto 2, but it's not going to like shut down or anything.
No, it's either it's gonna keep its lights on with some smaller title that like a smaller, less ambitious title than Callisto was, or they're gonna get swallowed up by someone else.
Yeah, maybe someone buys them.
Yeah, I mean, Krafton.
But I know we're all trying to paint this in like a terrible light, and it's always terrible when this stuff happens. But the gaming companies always shrink after a big game launch. But also, yes, it was also a failure of a game. It didn't do crazy hot numbers, so obviously they're going to shrink. But also, this has been happening everywhere. Like there was just a report showing like how many game companies have laid off staff over the past couple months, and it's a whole industry thing, not just this company in particular.
Yeah, I don't want to like point this let's say like, oh, let's make fun of this company. I don't want to like make it out like that. I'm just like I'm mostly laughing at the PR statement because of the quality of the game. But I mean, in general, if there are severance packages and if they are good enough, like obviously that's at least something to be noted to be a good thing. I hope everyone lands on their feet, gets new jobs. But like as Mood said, this is happening all over the industry, all over tech in general. So hopefully all those people can get new jobs and everything works out for them.
This is the exact reason why we're also getting like a new studio a week. It seems like being formed because it feels like a lot of people who are getting laid off are like teaming together and making new stuff. So like, yeah, it always sucks to see someone lose their job, but like, it seems like a lot of these people are like taking it as the opportunity to get with other creators and like build something from the ground up.
More new games.
Yep.
Yeah, well, hopefully everything works out for them. Next news story, I have a lot to say about that. Or I think there's some things to say about this. We got some Battlefield news. This comes from the EA press. This comes from Shinobi over on Twitter. The next Battlefield will be a, quote, reimagination, end quote, of the series and exist in a, quote, truly connected ecosystem. I'm trying so hard not to laugh. I'm sorry. Quote, truly connected ecosystem, end quote, says EA. Call of Duty veteran and Respawn boss Vince Zampella became the head of the Battlefield franchise in 2021. Man, when I tell you guys, Battlefield 2042, that did not work out well. Do you guys think this game? Yeah, do you guys think maybe this next Battlefield will renew faith in the Battlefield franchise?
No.
Instead of reimagining,
I completely forgot.
Make a good fucking Battlefield game.
How do you reimagine a first-person shooter?
How do you do anything? That's the thing, though. They were like lauding with 2042. It's like, guys, look at how many players there are. It was like 64v64 or something. It's like, guys, can you imagine? Like, this is crazy, and nobody cared because the game didn't work. Like, nothing worked right with that game.
I forgot that game existed.
Here's what's gonna happen, right? That last game was the fucking one we were talking about sucks ass. They're gonna reimagine that. How do you think that's gonna work out for them? They should have went back to the roots of what worked and made a good fucking game, and then try to reimagine it. You reimagining the space of a game that fucking flopped. What do you think is gonna happen with this game?
I mean, I think they want to transition it into a live service. Oh man, that's
yeah. Think about it. What they're saying to do it?
I don't know.
I
Gonna
do
go
remember.
afterwards.
I do remember like a Tom Henderson article, like maybe over a year ago now, talking about Battlefield and talking about how like the next Battlefield was going to be like a 2042. Like it was going to be 2042, but like 2.0 and like another shot at the like that time period. So this kind of lines up if what he said, what he leaked like a year ago, actually like comes to this article
I
now.
just it's just weird. The mishandling of the Battlefield IP is honestly sad. Can you guys imagine that Battlefield was the biggest competitor to Call of Duty for a time? Like there were times where, like if you remember back in 2016, everyone loved Battlefield and everyone hated Call of Duty because that was Infinite Warfare versus Battlefield One.
Yeah, Battlefield
And
1.
like, yeah, and then think about Battlefield 3 when that game launched and how impressive it was at that time. But it feels like ever since Battlefield 5, the series has just been kind of on a downwards trajectory, and general and DICE in general has just not been doing as hot, which is really frustrating because like, I'm not the biggest Battlefield guy in the world, but like I fully respect the games. And like you look at those classic titles like Battlefield 3, 4, 1, people love those games. People are so passionate, even going back to the early 2000s, like 1942 and whatnot. People adore that game. But you look at, the modern games, nobody's playing them. There's the numbers keep going lower and lower for like concurrent players, and it's really frustrating. I don't
You
know.
know what's
Like
even
I
more
want
sad?
Battlefield to do well. Go ahead.
So I'm not sure how many of you guys played Star Wars Battlefront, but Star Wars Battlefront
Like a
2
little
and
bit.
Star Wars Battlefront 1 is really good, but Star Wars Battlefront came out in a really bad state, and they fixed the game up. Surprisingly, they fixed the game up really well, and people loved it. And then they stopped working on it, and the reason for it, and people were like really disappointed, it was that we're gonna be focusing more on Battlefield 4. And this
That's
is what
what's
them focusing
insane.
more on Battlefield turned out to be. They
It's so
dropped the
weird because
game that was doing really good for this.
yeah, that's what's weird is that Battlefront 2 had this renaissance. Everyone was talking about it again. Everyone was playing it, and they're like, at the moment everyone started talking about it. All right, well, we had enough to talk about.
Bullshit,
We're
boys.
done with Battlefront 2.
Our
What?
job here is done.
See you guys. You guys have fun. It's just a weird situation. I mean, Battlefront. Do you guys ever think there's a Battlefront 3?
I hope
No,
there is, but not these people are handling it.
not anytime soon.
Yeah. And it's just disappointing. DICE used to be like the top of the heap, and now it kind of feels like they've fallen off. And I mean, whatever this next Battlefield is, I hope it's good, but it's hard to have faith. I love Vincent Pella. I mean, what's it called? He was head of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 1 and 2, like the original games. And, those games are incredible. And obviously, with Titanfall 1 and 2, God bless that franchise. But hope you guys think Vince is able to like help influence the franchise, or do you think it's
I think
almost
if
like
I think if anyone in the industry can, he can. You know what I mean? Like if anyone's going to do it, he has to do
I
it. Because
hope.
if he can't do it, no one can do it.
I
If
wish I
they're
had that faith
reimagining a
in him.
bad game, I don't think it's gonna succeed.
That's the thing. Yeah, it just
Prove that
comes
you can
down
make
to
a
how
good
they
game
execute
first,
it.
and then start reimagining things. And the simple thing is just
Yeah.
go back to its roots to what worked, and it'll do well. I promise you.
Yeah. Well, let's hope it's good. Moving on. We're gonna talk about Baldur's Gate 3. Yeah,
From
this game launched
FPS
pretty
to
recently.
RBG.
Yeah, really. Baldur's Gate 3. Benji Sales has this on Twitter. Baldur's Gate 3 has reached 400k plus concurrent players, becoming the second biggest Steam launch of 2023 by players, only behind Hogwarts Legacy. Current 2023 top 3: Hogwarts Legacy at 879k and 308. 2 is Baldur's Gate 3 at 418k and 991. And then 3, I cannot believe this. Number 3 is Sons of the Forest at 414,257. But yeah, it seems like Baldur's Gate 3 is having a massive, massive launch. People
I
love
think it
it.
was even bigger than that. I think they hit
Yeah,
500 at some point.
if I could jump in, they're 8,000 away from 600,000. I think they hit 600,000 tomorrow. Their peak today was 592,000 players.
Yeah,
That
now
is
we're gonna hit the
insane.
weekend where a lot of
Like
people will be off.
they're
Yeah.
200,000 off a Harry Potter game. Like
That is crazy.
I mean, I'm loving it for them. Like this is
Harry Potter
This
sucks
is
anyways. This is
deserved.
where it belongs. On
And
top.
I just want to say about Baldur's Gate 3 is I did not hear about this game for like the longest time, and then all of a sudden the past like 2 or 3 months, it's
Bear.
everywhere. No, even before it was even before the bear. Like there was like this trailer that came out, and I'm like, oh, okay, what's this game? I'll check. I watched. I'm like, oh, this kind of looks interesting. And then immediately after I saw that trailer, like every news place I was starting to pay attention to this game. So I don't know what happened that suddenly puts this
I'll tell you what
PC only game that put it on the map.
I'll tell you what happened. They switched the release date. They tried to release it next to Starfield. They're like, nah, fuck that. And then they went like early August for at least the PC launch. It sucks. I wanted it. I was tempted to play this game, and then I saw it was only PC for the first week, and I'm like, I refuse to play on that platform. So yeah, that's disappointing. But like, hey, you know what? Maybe in a few months' time. I do want to play this game. It's a little too close to Starfield. That's my big thing right now. But yeah, I mean, Fusion, I feel you've been having some FOMO for this game.
Yeah, I have, because I'm like, I love Larry.
Yeah, your voice cut out.
He died. He died.
He died?
The FOMO killed him.
Well, we'll ask him about it when he gets back. But what's it called? So, but yeah, I mean, just in general, I'm overall happy with the game.
I'm feeling it too, in terms of FOMO.
I'm definitely feeling like a little bit of FOMO.
I'm a primary Xbox player in Switch, and Xbox is waiting because they're trying to get the split screen, the simultaneous split screen on the Series S, so it's being held back a bit. But
yeah, that's.
I'm really curious to see how this goes. I see so many people having fun with it, and that is doing well too.
Oh yeah.
It looks interesting, but it's just so massive. It scares me.
Am I back? Am I back in action?
Yeah.
Fusion.
Oh, no
Fusion's
problem.
back.
Okay. I would just say, like, I love Larian Studios, so like I'm so like the FOMO's hitting because it's like Larian's one of those studios where I feel like they haven't had their moment in the sun yet, and they've made like, if you look at the games they've made like very highly critically like acclaimed video games, but like the casual fan base, they make CRPGs. Like that's just not most casual players aren't going to even look that way. But like I feel like Baldur's Gate 3 is finally that game where like they got handed a franchise that was already popular for the last few decades. Like people just know the name Baldur's Gate. And I feel like this is going to be their opening into like getting the Game of the Year nominations and like jumping into like just more mainstream compared to what they were, because they've always been fantastic. They like remind me a lot of CD Projekt Red before Cyberpunk, where like they're a dev team that just like they're player first. They're always giving like player updates, listening to feedback. Like I feel like they really are just like, they're very rare in the industry today that I feel like does a lot of things backwards when it comes to like your players and money and like the quality of your game. Like this game came out, yeah, that's what I mean. This game came out and was just like they've hit every nail of like this is what players want in modern gaming. It feels like a 2008 game placed now, and it's just like it's perfect.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, I mean, I support them 100%. I hope everything goes well with them, and very clearly, like they're working on Baldur's Gate 4 now. I'll tell you that right now.
It'll be interesting to see how much
DLC?
of these numbers. It'll be interesting to see how the numbers carry over to the PlayStation 5 version.
I think they did say actually that they're going back to Divinity.
They said they want to stay in that world, but I also think they're just like, yeah, but you know, Baldur's Gate 3 is doing this well. We might as well like also make a Baldur's Gate 4 on the side.
I
wonder
think
if
they're
they
now
do
in
DLC.
They will, but
yeah,
I think
they're
they're
gonna
now
have
in the
to.
spot where like I said, they're going to be big enough where no matter what their next title is, people are going to buy it.
Yeah. Well, shout out to Larian. Last news story we have for the night. Just a really quick headline. Breaking. This comes from Clobrill over on Twitter. Killer Instinct 10th anniversary update announced, coming later this year by Iron Galaxy Studios. Includes balance updates, improved matchmaking, and 4K support for Series X/S. Any thoughts on this, y'all?
Never.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool that's coming back. It's cool that Iron Galaxy is also doing it. And I think some people are wondering if this is like them testing the waters, if there's enough interest to continue the franchise and do another Killer Instinct in like a couple of years. So, I mean, they'll have to see like what the numbers are like how many people come back to play Killer Instinct once this update happens.
Killer Instinct always felt like that quietly huge fighting game franchise where like you don't hear as many like mainstream people talk about it, but then like randomly you'll look online and it's like ridiculous like amount of players online playing it. And it's like, oh, okay, I guess it's pretty big, huh? Like surprisingly,
it has its niche corner.
Yeah, exactly.
The fact that it's now 10 years old and it's a relatively successful game. Granted, it had probably one of the roughest starts because they tried to make it like a live service game in the beginning, and then they kind of quickly abandoned that after season 1. But
You'd think they'd learn after 10 years with all these
Mhm.
companies.
So it'll be interesting to see like what comes of this, because clearly this is testing grounds for something, whether that's
Exactly.
continue this one game or get Iron Galaxy back on them to make a Killer Instinct 2 or just something. So something's going to come of this. We just don't know what yet.
All right. Well, let's shout outs to Killer Instinct fans. I hope it's fun. Moving on to what we've been playing. I'm just going to talk real quick about Pikmin 4. And it's the only thing I've been playing. I like I said, I played a bit of Oblivion like this morning, loving it. But Pikmin 4, I did beat it finally. And yeah, it's phenomenal. It's my number 3 of the year right now, just behind Hi-Fi Rush and Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. It did pretty much everything that a sequel to Pikmin 3 needed to do. Quality of life changes, the actual gameplay. I will say, difficulty-wise, it's a little on the easy side. There's some really difficult trials near the end of the game that I thought were actually pretty fun. But overall, I think they definitely could have made the game a bit more difficult. But even then, like it's hard to even complain because I just had a smile on my face the whole time while playing it. It's way more content than I expected, and that's always a good thing when it comes to Pikmin. The more the merrier when it comes to Pikmin. Make those games longer and longer. I'll be there no matter what. But yeah, Pikmin 4 has been a great time. I'm gonna let Bench talk about Trails. You guys have fun.
I've beaten Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 3 at 58 hours, and that ending was incredible. You should play the Trails series, but that ending was phenomenal, and it left pretty much me wanting to hop into the next game right away, just because how much of a cliffhanger it was, and all the impacts to characters and the setups. Pretty much all the setups paid off, and character development really pulled through. Like, questions that we've been asking since some of the first games have been answered or alluded to, and the scale of what's to come is only going to grow greater. And like, I'm still trying to process everything that happened in that last 5 hours, because it was just next level. I haven't played a game that had an ending like that in a very long time, and it didn't come out this year, but I'd still rank it as my number 3 for this year of all the games I've played, because it just left an impact on me and left me. I just love it when a game leaves you thinking and just like staring at the ceiling whenever you kind of finish it, because you just like don't know what to do with yourself. And that was Cold Steel 3, because it just like, it can't really put it into words.
Was it ranked higher than Final Fantasy 16?
No, it is right behind it, but I'd say they're
How?
still like.
I'm sorry.
Climb is the
This
goat,
man has
bro.
been talking
Climb
about
is the
how
goat.
this. He keeps talking about how Trails is peak, and then it's like, but it's under Final Fantasy. It's like, what?
Well, he also thinks Final
Bias
Fantasy
towards
16
Final
has peaked,
Fantasy.
so
That was his
I-
game
I-
that he was looking forward to for the longest.
There's some things
that has to be it.
There's honestly, like, the production values of Final Fantasy 16 do help it in a number of aspects, and the fact that it is a complete story in one game. Like, Trails is a continuing series, so you are left wanting, but it's still even better. I mean, like, it's right behind it. It's Tears of the Kingdom, Final Fantasy 16, and Cold Steel 3, and Final Fantasy 16 and Trails is like
I just
so
need to know
close.
what did Trails do wrong? what does it need to do to be better than FF16? Because like you talk about this game like it was the second coming of God onto this beautiful planet of ours, and you're just like, it's no Final
Because
Fantasy.
honestly, it's just the production values. Trails is a very niche game, and that makes the budget behind it niche. And like, the graphics definitely got updated with this game, and that helped a lot. But still, I would.
Yeah, because this was 3. I think was the first one on the PlayStation 4, where 1 and 2 were PSP titles.
Yeah.
PS3.
PS3, PSP.
But they
Yeah,
were on PSP as well, so that meant
Wait,
they had
they
to
were
like count
PSP?
that.
yeah. One
Yes.
and Cold Steel 1 and 2 were on the PSP.
Oh shit, I gotta buy those.
oh, so they sit on
And
the
yeah,
shelf.
so I think
Kind of
Cold
agree.
Steel 3 was the first like full console game. It was on PS4.
And it looks great, and the music in the game was absolutely incredible. I've been listening to some of that today. But I mean, I do think also, like, it's not a complete story, but that helps and hurts it when it comes to looking at the game as a whole compared to something like Final Fantasy 16, which is a complete story with a beginning and end. And Cold Steel 3 is just like, it just ends. Like, the credits just roll at the worst possible time. but that's also like the best possible time. So it's just made me start my depression arc. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I
Depression
respect it. I respect your ranking, bro.
Hey, you know what? Yeah, live and learn. You can have it. It's your list. Moving on. Dark, you've been playing Dead Cells.
So I really haven't been playing much this week. I've been tired. But I started Dead Souls.
Happens to the best of us.
I started Dead Souls. I never played it before. I always wanted to, but I figured like, you know what, now's the time. It's a Metroidvania, and it's incredible.
Mhm.
It's a Metroidvania,
Well,
but it also has
no,
it's a. It's not a
like
it's a roguelike. There we go.
Metroidvania It's a roguelite. Yeah, I wouldn't really call it
roguelite
Metroidvania.
Metroidvania light. There you go. But
Okay, we're just inventing terms now.
You know when I said it, I'm just going off what you said. But anyways, it is a roguelike. That's the proper term. I haven't gotten too far into it. The sewers, I fucking hate the sewers. Fuck the sewers. But besides that, it's incredibly fun. I can tell that there's a lot of passion and stuff put into it. I'll try out the DLCs when I get to that eventually. But yeah, that's about it.
Dude, yeah, no, Dead Cells, I played that earlier this year. That game is phenomenal. Genuinely one of the best indie games I've ever played. I mean, just the pixel art alone. Like, you look at that game.
Oh, yeah, it's incredible to look at.
Beautiful. Yeah, and I'm really excited for you to play the Castlevania DLC because, man, there's a lot of good fan service there. Moving on. Moon, what about you? How have you been playing?
So I took a page out of Wolf's book and I dropped Octopath 2.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to it.
Yeah.
I might go back to it too, but boy, there was just points where everywhere I turned, like even with Octopath 2, you have like multiple chapters and you can kind of do them in any order you want, but every single chapter I tried to move on with the game was just a beating and a half, and I am not in a position in life where grinding is fun. Like, even if I throw on like a long YouTube video or a podcast or whatever, grinding is just not for me anymore. So I didn't feel like grinding, and I was just not beating these bosses. Even when I was watching like YouTube videos on like what other people did to beat these bosses, I was still not beating them. So maybe one day I'll go back to it because I love the combat, I love the story, but they need an easier difficulty or something in that game. So I dropped that and I picked up Dead Space from Target a couple weeks ago for like $27. I'm like, this is the perfect price for this. And I said, okay. And then I dropped Octopath, let's play Dead Space. And this is definitely what I needed as like a detox from all the JRPGs I've been playing. Just play like a nice horror game. And it's been a blast. Like, there are obviously a lot. I did play the original Dead Space, not back in the day, but like a little bit. I think around the time the third was coming out is when I finally played the series. And it's just as good as I remember. There's a lot of familiarity, but there's also a lot of differences, which I really enjoy. They made the zero gravity sections a lot more fun and a lot more better to control. So that's been great. I look forward to every time there's zero gravity. Still sucks when there's no air. No oxygen is a buzzkill. But besides that, everything's been great about this game, and I love the use. I don't remember this in the first game. I don't know if it was there or not, but there's a lot of sections where you got to transfer power from the lights to something else. So then you enter in a completely dark room with nothing but your flashlight to do something else, to do some other puzzle while you have to fight off enemies. So that's always great. Good times.
I think that was in the first game.
I think it was, but probably not as prevalent because I'm only on chapter 3, and I've done this like pitch black room puzzle thing like 5 times already. So
yeah,
they've made these dark room situations a lot more prevalent. They made the zero gravity portions much more prevalent, which I'm definitely appreciating. So good times,
That's awesome.
and hopefully it doesn't take me too long to beat. I think it's only like a 12-hour game, and I'm already on chapter 3. So I should hopefully beat it by either later this week, or no, wait, today's Friday. So maybe I'll even have it beat by the next podcast.
Whoa.
Look at you.
You beat
I know.
it fast now.
When I go play
really.
a long JRPG, I actually beat games.
Shocker. Fusion, are you going to be mad at him if it's in his top 5 of the year?
He'll be a coward, but I can't be mad at him.
Wait, what? Do you not like Dead Space?
No, I do.
Like remakes for Game of the Year.
Yeah.
Oh, granted, with you've seen my like 2023 beat list. Like, you've seen my list. I don't have a whole lot of 2023 games, so it's probably just going to end up there by default. Now, granted,
put it into the show like filler.
it's no, I'm going to piss everyone off here, but I can already tell this is probably going to be higher on my list than Resident Evil 4 Remake.
Oh no, bro. I mean, I'd probably agree with you.
I don't know
Um,
about that.
The more I think
But-
about Resident Evil 4 remake, the more I'm like, man, I don't think it's
Yeah,
that good.
it's slowly sliding down my list.
It's just not
Like, I
Resident
like-
Evil 2. I don't know.
I
And
was
especially
like,
with all the
bro,
games coming out for the rest of the year, like it's gonna keep slipping.
Like, I'm sorry, I was like thinking about this. It's like, dude, Resident Evil 2 was just a way better remake when I think about it more. Like, I like
good.
RE4 remake,
So good.
but when I want to go back to RE4, I'm just gonna play the original. I don't want to play the remake anymore.
Well, I don't know about that. I would just play the remake.
Nah,
I played a remake.
I don't know. Like that OG,
I
especially on
love
the
the
Wii.
fuck out of the remake. I
Immaculate.
played the shit out of it, by the way. If you guys didn't know in the podcast.
Oh yeah, no.
Oh, yeah, you
was
played that
great
game
every
to
crazy.
death.
time. Going for that speedrun world record, man.
Nah, I wouldn't. I played like what, like 8 times or something. I don't know.
Fusion, you're our last guy, and you're gonna be talking about Halo.
Yeah,
Here
I'm
we
tired
go.
of talking about Halo. It's like every week. Every week's Halo, so I'll get it quick. I beat Halo Infinite, which means I'm through every Halo other than Halo Wars. I've completed the journey, and it was a good experience. Like I'm not like I don't regret playing any of the games. There were some like games that were just like very average, but like for the most part, it was a pretty fun experience. Halo Infinite's in my top 3. I really like the way they like humanize Chief, and like there's more emotion in this game than like every other game combined. I know people like the Halo 4 like emotions, but like I don't think Halo 4 comes close to the emotions in this game. That's all the Halo talk I'm gonna give you. I did start Oxenfree 2 this morning, and like I played Oxenfree the first one like 2 months ago on vacation. So like the sequel came out at the perfect time for me to jump in, like finally, and like for $20, like I was like, okay, I'll grab it, add it to the 2023 pile. But like I'm really enjoying it. Like I think the Oxenfree first game like has really good writing and a really underrated narrative. Like the Oxenfree games don't get a lot of love in the indie scene for some reason. So like 2 hours in, I can't say much, but like I'm enjoying the character so far and the vibes at least. And that's
Yeah,
what
so
I've been playing.
that's like a story-focused game, right? Like kind of
Yeah,
like
it's
Telltale
very
stuff.
yes, it's very like Telltale where you're like there's not much gameplay, there's puzzles, but like you're walking around like mystery, like discovering a story.
Man did everything he could to make me not want to play it. But hey, you know what? I'm glad you're
I know they're
as long as
short though. I would say they're short to where like I would say I feel like Oxenfree the first game is like probably on 17 different streaming services. Like even if like look up gameplay, like look up YouTube video just to see like would this game be for me? Because I think you're more of like you like the gameplay over like characters and story, and I'm the type that like I like the story and characters more than like
it's like
gameplay
it's not
stuff.
even that. It's not even that. I love story and characters. Like it's a big part of like why I love games, but I need some type of gameplay. Like it doesn't even have to be good gameplay, but
They do
I
some
need
unique
something there.
stuff with gameplay. Like they
Yeah.
use this like unique radio like system, and the puzzles are really fun, and it has really good art style. Like
Okay.
I would just at the least like if you haven't ever looked at Oxenfree, just like look up a YouTube like review, like maybe like an Easy Allies review or something of the first game, and just see if it would be something for you.
Okay. I might check it out then. But yeah, that's pretty much everything that we've been playing. Moon, sign us off.
All right, so that was a nice talk about the Switch. It was a nice Nintendo focused kind of podcast with some
Man.
other things there, with some bear sex and all that. Anyway, so we're gonna sign off here for tonight for August 4th. Hope you all had a good time. We'll see you guys next week with the Evo wrap up. And I know we didn't include it in the news today, but there was also the announcement of the Digital Devolver delay, not podcast, but special that they're going to air next week, as well as a Pokemon
Oh, we're
Presents.
gonna talk about that. That's gonna
Oh
be
yeah,
fun.
we're going to talk. That's going to be a fun one. So look forward to that next week, as well as I'm pretty sure we'll get some more Evo announcements like that Killer Instinct one next week, sometime this weekend. So we'll have a lot more to talk about next week. So until then, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that other good stuff, and say goodnight, everyone.
Bye.
Play a Larian game.
Play Trails.